What's up folks, Crush SG back with a 2-for-1 combo today. I'll be showcasing version 2.2 of the Nova Pure LUT, as well as covering the very work in progress new addition to the Nova LUT collection, Supernova. Honestly, I was not expecting to put out the version 2.2 Nova Pure update this soon. I had planned to do a couple of other showcases first, namely the GITS 3.0 showcase, but if you read my community post, you already know why that's on hold. The short version is Baba Booey reached out to me sometime last week and gave me a heads up on an impending update to the mod and asked me to hold off till the update dropped. The ETA on the update is unconfirmed at the moment, but I guess it'll happen within the next week or so. Maybe. Anyway, with that and me encountering some other minor bugs with a couple of other mods that I wanted to showcase, I decided to bump this one up the calendar and put it out first. Okay, so seeing as how I'm showcasing two things in this video, it's gonna be a pretty long one. It's been a really busy week for me, so I apologize for doing away with anything creative in this video and just getting straight down to business. Timestamps as always in all my videos to jump around to the sections you want to see. Alright, I already covered Nova LUT a couple of times on my channel, so I'll be really brief with the mod intro and the overview. The first part of this video will showcase version 2.2 of the Nova Pure LUT, as well as version 2.0 of the Nova ENV. Both of these are direct updates to the version that I used in my previous Nova Pure showcase, and I'll be showcasing how they look compared to vanilla, followed by comparing them to their respective previous versions, followed by comparing it to the classic Nova LUT, and yeah, let's get started with the Nova ENV because it's shorter and simpler to explain. Here's a quick clip of version 1.03 versus version 2.01 of the ENV. Okay, so the difference between the two versions of the ENV isn't huge. As far as I can tell, there are really only two primary differences. First, version 2 seems to significantly increase the contrast of the distant environment, which addresses the very common complaint of version 1 being a little too washed out. Now this also has the indirect effect of making the classic Nova LUT more contrasty where it lacks contrast, which is a good thing because being too washed out is a common complaint with the classic Nova LUT. Next, version 2 seems to adjust and increase the bloom a little compared to version 1, while also reducing the amount of fog. This has the effect of actually making things look a little foggier in darker scenes due to the increased bloom making fog more obvious, but it also makes things a little cleaner and clearer in the brighter scenes because, well, there's less actual fog. Version 2 of the ENV also has the added effect of fixing the pure white neon signs that was present in version 1. However, this seems to largely only affect the Nova series of LUTs themselves, because most LUTs that completely blow out neon light colors, like NCLM or the Vanilla Plus LUT, will still blow out the neon colors even with version 2 of the Nova ENV. Now, for those wondering what the difference is between the path tracing and raster specific ENVs, I've asked TheCyanidex directly about it and have gotten confirmation that the only difference between the two ENVs is that the raster version has slightly lighter shadows to compensate for the lack of indirect light bounces that are present in path tracing. You can think of it as the path tracing ENV being a tiny bit more contrasty than the raster ENV. Alright, that's the ENVs out of the way. Let's get to the Nova Pure LUT, and I'll be showing two comparison clips for this. The first compares version 2.2 to version 1 of Nova Pure, and the second compares version 2.2 to the original version 1.4 of the classic Nova LUT. All footage uses version 2.0 of the Raster ENV.
Just like one of those, raccoon.
Mom? When are we going back to Night City?
Okay, so version 2.2 fixes the glare issues present in version 1.0, making the image much less overexposed and easier on the eyes, literally. It also reins in the saturation a fair bit while making some slight changes to the yellow and the green hues. The yellows are slightly warmer and more realistic, and this allowed the greens to carry less of a yellow hue while still maintaining the similar look in foliage. Version 2.2 is also ever so slightly warmer overall compared to version 1, with a slight reduction in the green tint, which I know a couple of you brought up in your comments, though I gotta say that I personally never noticed any green tint at all in either version of Nova Pure. I only spotted the difference when placing the clips side by side in the editor. That said, what's interesting about version 2.2 it's not just how it compares to version 1. One might think that carrying the Pure moniker would put it closer to 1.0 than the classic Nova LUT. But as it turns out, version 2.2 of Nova Pure seems to have more similarities with the classic Nova LUT than Nova Pure version 1.0, to my eye at least. 2.2 does carry slightly more saturation overall, but some select colors are actually more saturated in classic Nova LUT, namely the yellows and the reds. So really, I would say that Pure 2.2 is more of a combination of classic Nova LUT and Pure 1.0. And that to me personally is a good thing, considering I actually prefer classic Nova LUT to Pure 1.0, particularly when using it with Reshade, which is how I typically run Nova LUT. Whichever you prefer though, it seems like all three versions of Nova LUT are here to stay and now in relatively final form, so you can just pick whichever suits your fancy. Alright, that's it for the Nova side of things. Let's take a look at the newest addition to the theCyanideX's LUT-only roster, Supernova. So, full disclosure, I wasn't sure if I wanted to include Supernova in this showcase because it is still heavily a work in progress at the moment, or as TheCyanideX puts it, it is a rough proof of concept. And honestly, just loading it up on its own, you can definitely see that it is clearly a work in progress. But two things. First, I've gotten quite a few requests to at least talk about this LUT. And second, after playing around with it, underneath this proof of concept lies a LUT that is actually an excellent base to use Reshade off of. Assuming your goal was to retain the vanilla look of the game, because that's basically the goal of the Supernova LUT. The description on the mod page is clearly a humorous take, so I'll give you my take on what I think it means. Supernova basically seeks to remove the intentionally stylized and artistic aspects from vanilla for a more grounded and realistic look, while also doing away with the green tint and reproducing vanilla colors within the AGX color space. Now, you've already seen what Nova LUT looks like stock. It's a little washed out, the colors might seem a little dull and such, but I think some keen-eyed folk out there might see a hint of this potential that I'm talking about. And well, this is what it looks like with Reshade applied to it.
Over 70% of Night City is under drone surveillance. When you're in danger, try.
Alright, so how is this different from using other vanilla style LUTs, or just using Reshade on vanilla itself? Well, the difference is color balance, color range, and contrast range. The limited color and contrast range provided by vanilla makes almost everything a trade-off in Reshade. Removing the green tint either forces you to apply a decent amount of magenta to the mix, or you could change the hue of the aqua and the blue, which then affects anything aqua or blue, which then largely affects the sky and the distant environment. Now, the only previously available LUT that genuinely tries to preserve the vanilla look is the Vanilla Plus LUT, which does a decent job in preserving vanilla colors, but brings with it other issues as you can see here. Saturation is turned up to 11, the image is significantly darker, the distant environment still carries the green-blue hue, and most of all, it completely messes with neon lights and signs, and that cannot be fixed by applying Reshade to Vanilla Plus. As you can see, most of these issues are not present when using Supernova as the base LUT. Colors are accurately preserved without adding any magenta to the mix. The sky color is preserved without it turning purple, the distant environment does not carry any green or blue tint, and the overall color and contrast range is significantly expanded. And this is all done with just the Lightroom shader, by the way. Someone more well versed in Reshade could definitely get things even better, adding a couple of more shaders to the mix. For those who want to try it, here are the settings that I use in Lightroom, but again, please be advised that your mileage will definitely vary based on your monitor. My best advice is to start off by bumping up only the global saturation to somewhere in the 0.3, 0.4 range, and then tweaking things to your liking from there. And of course, as mentioned earlier, Supernova itself is a work in progress, so the theCyanidex can and probably will eventually bake a lot of this into the LUT itself, making the use of Reshade hopefully redundant. Alright folks, as it turns out, I managed to keep this video to a reasonable length, but it took an insane amount of footage to put together over a 5-day period that I really shouldn't have had the time for. I just felt I wanted to get at least one video out this week. I hear there's a red stream coming out later in the week featuring Minji Chang, who voices Songbird by the way. Maybe we'll get some updates about the next patch, if any, maybe not, we'll see. I'm also looking forward to getting the GITS showcase out when Baba Booey drops the next revision, but in the meantime, have any of you been playing Pal World? I'm not a huge fan of Pokemon style games personally, but it looks great and everyone in my gaming circle has been gushing about it, asking me to check it out. I don't know, maybe I'll give it a shot, do some coverage on it, and see where it takes us. Anyway, I know you guys are going to ask for it, so I'll leave you with a bonus clip of Pure 2.2 and Supernova paired with the GITS 3.0 Legacy ENV. Thumbs if you liked it, sub to get notified on my future videos, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care, folks.